everybody, and welcome to another episode of Right Here, Right Now, live Buffalo football talk presented by Forefathers Organics. My name is Alex Brasky, alongside my co-host, Ajay Cybulski, here for the Batavia Daily and Livingston County News. Each week, we'll discuss Buffalo's favorite football team, along with all the comings and goings from Orchard Park. Like I said, presented by our friends, Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, AJ, what a win for the Bills, 31-10 over the AFC East rival Miami Dolphins. Just a throttling performance put forth by the Bills at Hard Rock Stadium on Thursday Night Football. It started a little bit rough. Terrell Bernard goes down early in the game with a pectoral injury. The nature and significance of that injury, the significance, I should say, yet to be determined by Sean McDermott after the game. He did not provide an update, but things quickly turned in a positive direction for Buffalo. The defense remained dominant even with Bernard off the field. You bring in Balin Spector. He performed reasonably well, maybe a bit of struggles to begin the game, but really worked in well as the game progressed. At one point, you had Dorian Williams, Balin Spector, Cam Lewis, Jamarcus Ingram, and Damar Hamlin all out there at once, and the Bills defense continuing to put forth a good showing against this high-powered Miami offense. Now, the Dolphins did lose Tua Tagovailoa to a concussion during the game. Skylar Thompson came in late during the second half, but this was all Bills, and I don't think there was any doubt who the better team was from really pillar to post in this one.
Yeah, it was a astonishing performance. And before I get any further, prayers to Tua Tagovailoa. Suffered that scary injury late in the third quarter there. So he's a guy that suffered many concussions throughout his career. And I just wanted to start the pod with, before we get anything further, just mentioning his injury and hoping all is well there. He was joined by a lot of family in the locker room throughout the game. They were on the broadcast there on Amazon Prime. So hoping all is well, and I'm sure some decisions will have to be made in terms of his career with all the concussions he's had. So hoping everything turns out well for him. But yeah, it was a dominant effort from this Bills team in all three phases of this game. And I was shocked. I'm going to say, I was shocked in terms of going into the game. You're already down, all the names they lost last year on both sides of the ball. But then you add Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Taron Johnson to that list. It almost would feel like, from the narratives going into that game, that it would almost seem impossible, right, to win this game in Miami. But, I told you, I said it on, Monday night, that the Jets are the scarier team than Miami, and that kind of stuck to that today. I thought the Dolphins didn't look good at all. Tua was off when he was playing, and I thought the Bills' defense, guided by, the names you mentioned, a Balin Spector, who really stepped in well, a Damar Hamlin, that's had limited snaps throughout his career, but really stepping into a starting role this year.
Led the Bills in tackles tonight.
Right. Many other names on that list. So I think that overall it was just an astonishing performance, and you really got to give the credit to the coaching staff and the players to execute at a high level throughout this game.
Yeah, certainly hoping the best for Tua Tagovailoa as he suffers another concussion, and really his NFL career could be in doubt at this point. An ugly injury at that. Like I said, hoping for the best for him. But the Bills now 2-0. Miami falls to 1-1. Bills remain atop the division. Josh Allen 12-2 against the Dolphins throughout his career. Head coach Sean McDermott 14-2 against the Dolphins throughout his career. Sean McDermott just has a secret sauce when it comes to this Miami high-powered offense, and particularly slowing wide receiver Tyreek Hill. The longest reception for Tyreek Hill against the Bills in his career is 23 yards. So Sean McDermott has just done an incredible job in scheming things up and not allowing that speedy wide receiver to really go off for the big plays that he has become so well known for. Hasn't gone over for 100 yards in a game against the Bills, and once again tonight, limited production for the Miami offense. So credit to this Bills defense that, like I said earlier, was just completely dominant tonight. You saw Von Miller recording a sack, his second straight week with a sack. I believe tied Dwight Freeney on the all-time sack list, and he really seems to have turned things around in a hurry. Didn't produce anything last year, and really seems to be a factor for this defense this season. During that first half, Tua Tagovailoa, 13 of 18, 97 yards, a quarterback rating of 63.7. Just an incredible effort from this group. And failed to mention Jamarcus Ingram, 2 interceptions, one of which a pick six. He becomes the first UB player ever with 2 interceptions in a single NFL game. So the lesser-known players on this roster getting things done in reserve roles, coming in for these injured players and really not missing a beat. It's so impressive, and it all starts with the coaching of Sean McDermott and obviously defensive coordinator Bobby Babich.
Yeah, it's been the next man up mentality, ever since they lost Milano, and even going to the offseason with a Taylor Rapp, a guy that they re-signed and really counted on to step into that starting role. It's been that next man up mentality from all these guys, and they've continued to, execute at a high level. And that's all you really can ask of these depth players. You're counting on a lot of players in this scheme that do not have a lot of experience, and you add a new defensive coordinator to that calling plays. I know he's been around a while in terms of in the linebacker room and the defensive backs room, but in terms of a play caller, you got a whole new voice in that defensive room. So there's a lot of changing things around. The landscape continues to change. They lose Terrell Bernard early in the game again, another key piece going out. Hopefully he's okay with that pec injury and it's not a tear. You might not see him for a long, long time. If it's not a tear, it could be a strain. There's other things that could happen. So hopefully he's able to return at some point. But this Bills defense, I mean, what an effort. You get Tua, I thought, off his spot, made him uncomfortable. He missed some throws as well, but just an overall great performance. And you really can't ask for much more from a team that lost as many players as they did in the offseason and throughout the first couple of weeks of this regular season.
Yeah, Christian Benford also comes away with an interception in this game, finishes with 6 tackles. The top cornerback duo for this team and really the entire secondary becoming a significant strength. And entering the season, I think it was a significant question mark for many. Benford and Douglas obviously leading the way, targeted only 3 times last week, allowed only 1 reception, didn't allow much this week, and obviously Benford coming away with the interception. And both players are just complete football players. The way they play against the run, the way they stick their nose in there on every down, those 2 players are so valuable to this defense, especially without Matt Milano. And if you're without Terrell Bernard, your cornerbacks suddenly become the strength of this defense. I said earlier this season it has to be the edge rusher position and the pass rush. They're doing their best to contribute, but the performance of the cornerbacks in the secondary as a whole has been so impressive. I think it's overshadowed really the rest of this unit.
Yeah, and Rasul Douglas really set the tone on that first drive, right? Sheds the block, gets the tackle for a loss, puts the Dolphins behind the sticks after they move the ball with ease on that first set of downs. You force them into a 2nd and 13, an incompletion on 2nd and 13, and then the interception for Jamarcus Ingram, his first of the game after that. So just an overall solid performance from the secondary. I think Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford have been really solid. Tyreek actually was targeted on that 2nd and 13 play where Christian Benford kind of used his leverage, didn't even press Tyreek Hill. I think he felt like maybe the shot play was doing, almost kind of read what maybe Tyreek Hill's body language on the line of scrimmage, but it almost felt like Benford was in the mind of Hill on that play, ran backwards to gain that ground, and because Tyreek Hill still covered it and almost got over the top of him. But great coverage there from Benford, almost came away with the interception. Then obviously Ingram on the next play gives the ball back to the Bills offense, so they were able to capitalize it. A gutsy call from Sean McDermott on 4th and 3 to go for it to set the tone, but he goes ahead and does it. And again, analytically over the past 3 or 4 years, he's been one of the smartest and most aggressive head coaches in the NFL in terms of that aspect, something that he's really grown from early in his career. I think he's really set that precedent as something he's wanted to focus on, and it came through in the clutch to really set the tone of this game. But yeah, that cornerback room, Alex, has just been really good, stellar. Cam Lewis flashed all over the field today, right? And again, I think Devon Achane was really the only problem for the Bills in this game. He had 22 carries for 96 yards on the ground, and then in the air was the leading receiver as well, 7 catches for 69 yards and 1 touchdown. But with a team that has Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, if you're mentioning Devon Achane is the guy that was the difference maker for them on offense, I think you're in for a good night.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that Achane certainly had quite the evening on the ground and through the air. His speed really hard to contend with for the Bills. I think they've upped their speed in terms of their overall speed on defense, but still struggling a bit to slow down the speedy receivers on the Miami offense, particularly Achane coming out of the backfield. Let's move to the offense. James Cook, we mentioned it right off the top. What a performance for him. 3 first-half touchdowns, tying a Bills franchise record with those 3 touchdowns. Isaiah McKenzie, the last to do it with 3 touchdowns in a single first half for the Bills. Cook finished the game with 11 carries, 78 yards, an average of 7.1 yards per carry. Just an incredible performance from him. Followed up a strong effort in week 1 with yet another strong performance in week 2. And it was really the entire Bills running back room that had a big night on Thursday. Cook's explosive performance was complemented by the efforts of rookie Ray Davis, also Ty Johnson. Johnson coming away with that 33-yard completion that ended inside the 5-yard line that helped set up a touchdown. And then Ray Davis earlier on that drive with an 8-yard gain and a 10-yard gain also helping set up that touchdown drive. So the entire running back room getting involved for the Bills here this evening. And Josh Allen throwing under 20 passes. The Bills running the ball 26 times. It's not very often you see the Bills run the ball more than they throw it. And boy, did they have an incredible amount of success. And a game where perhaps they needed to lean on the running game a little bit more. Josh Allen going through that left hand injury didn't seem to impact him all that much. Said it was fine after the game, but I'm sure it limited him maybe a bit in the running game in terms of his willingness to take hits. And with the running back room performing the way that they did tonight, it was just what the doctor ordered for this Bills offense.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me in this game overall was the Bills offense. And Josh Allen, I think maybe before the season, after the loss of Diggs and Davis and all the important pieces they lost in the offensive end, but just his realization to kind of maybe realize I don't need to do it all to win games. And that's exactly what this Bills team did tonight. Josh Allen finished with 141 total yards and 1 total touchdown in a 21-point victory. On the road in Miami against a divisional foe that a lot of people thought, could win the AFC East this year and still, have an opportunity to. It's only week 2, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. I think this Bills offense and just the identity of it is, that everybody eats mentality, I think, is just infiltrating. What's the word? Infiltrating throughout this Bills locker room. And you're seeing it, after the game, a lot of people talking about the unselfishness, a lot of these players talking about we're just doing our job. And I think you're seeing that from the quarterbacks to the running backs to the offensive line to the receivers to the tight ends, everyone on that offense. They're just vibing, man. The vibes are good. The vibes are high. They seem prepared. They seem locked in. It's just really what you want from this Bills offense. And again, Josh Allen is realizing he does not need to be a superhuman in order for the Bills to have success. And come January, when they're in the playoffs, making another run, that's going to be the determining factor. As much as this is about Josh Allen, it's just as much about making, the right plays at the right times and being a complementary football team in all 3 phases of the game.
Yeah, and another thing I was impressed with in terms of the offense, their ability to capitalize on the turnovers early in the game, the field goal and the touchdown to get them their first 10 points after the first 2 Tua interceptions. That's what you need to do in a game like this. You need to set the tone early. A good team like the Dolphins, they give you opportunities like that. You need to put points on the board, particularly 7. But in this case, they'll take 3 one of the times. And just really impressed with the opportunistic performance from the Bills here tonight. Took what the defense gave them. Like I said, capitalized on the turnovers and really just a dominant performance on both sides of the ball. And before we keep going on this podcast, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, AJ, like I said, not much from the passing game in this one. Allen finishes 13 of 19, 139 yards and a touchdown. He did hit 5 different targets in this game. while Kincaid and Shakir were the only two with multiple receptions, and hit 6 different receivers. He did hit Ray Davis for a negative gain. But Kincaid connected with early in the ball game, really seemed Allen trying to set the tone with him, get him involved early. It didn't really continue on as the game progressed. I think that was a factor of the score and just with the way that the running game was working. Keon Coleman also didn't have a target in this game until very, very late. But like I said, limited work in the passing game for Allen. And if anything, like you said, I think this is an encouraging sign for the Bills offense as a whole. You didn't see a lot of production from the passing game, but to have that running game really work its way to another big performance, and James Cook scoring from all over the field, a deep touchdown, a goal line touchdown, just an all-around really impressive performance from him. You have to love what you're seeing from James Cook through 2 weeks. But I think you hit the nail on the head, proving to Josh Allen that he doesn't have to be a superhuman to win these games. I think very critical as the season goes along.
Yeah, and good for, James Cook. Again, I think he was a little inconsistent again during training camp, but took advantage of every opportunity given in this game and, showed that breakaway speed. Jordan Poyer, Bruce Nolan had a funny tweet after that and mentioned how, this is the kind of thing when we were talking about he might have lost a step. It seemed it on that play, but, Cook just, again, he's a quick player and it's hard to chase down to James Cook in the open field, but way to finish it. And you beat a former All-Pro and a former Bill. So that was probably icing on the cake in a sense, especially putting the Bills up 24-7 and you feel good going into halftime there with that touchdown. So yeah, I think this Bills offense, Khalil Shakir seems to be the wide receiver one at this point in terms of wide receiver usage. I think he's the favorite target for Josh, although like you mentioned, like Dawson Knox, no receptions this week, right? Keon Coleman, no receptions this week. Both those guys were, I wouldn't say crazy impactful in week 1, but made some plays in week 1 in terms of the pass catching game. And then they turn the page to other guys. And you've really got to see Curtis Samuel emerge as a target for Josh Allen. They gave him a lot of money. So I'm sure there's more for him in the fold here as we move forward. And I think that just bodes well for this Bills offense because you'll never know what to expect, what they're going to do, what route they're going to take in each game. And it's going to be hard for people to bet the Bills this year. Besides maybe James Cook, I mean, these prop bets, Alex, they're not looking too great because it could be Dylan Kincaid one game and then, a Keon Coleman, who I don't know what his yardage was at today, but it probably was around that 40-50 mark, and he doesn't even have a catch. So it's going to be hard for people to bet the Bills, maybe especially player props, because this Bills offense is really, truly utilizing that everybody eats mentality.
Let's go back to the defensive side of the ball. Von Miller really impacting things through the first 2 weeks. I mentioned back-to-back weeks with a sack, spoke to him after the game and really starting to feel himself, I think. To start this offseason, I think he was just trying to blend in, maybe fly under the radar until he really got his feet wet once again and started to feel things as he started to begin this regular season. But now that he's had sacks in back-to-back weeks, I think you're going to start to see the old Von Miller again. We've seen him come to the podium week after week. And as I mentioned last week, when you have a leader of his ability in terms of his ability to rally the troops, you need that production to match and to have back-to-back weeks with a sack. Ed Oliver gets on the board as well. Really critical for this team. I mentioned in my pregame 5 takes, a critical piece for the Bills defense was going to be the secondary working with the pass rush, and you saw that today. The secondary giving the pass rush time to get to Tua Tagovailoa, and they brought him down a couple of times.
Yeah, Ed Oliver was a menace in this game. Absolutely abused the right guard there. I should have the name memorized. He left with an injury, and he was just, let me look it up real quick here. But Ed Oliver was all over the field, a tackle for loss on a big run play in the red zone when Skylar Thompson came in to force a 4th down, which got the Bills off the field with the Von Miller sack. It was left guard Robert Jones. Ed Oliver was all over him all night, and he obviously left with that injury and was replaced by Lester Cotton for the Dolphins. But still, I think Ed Oliver was just really dominant. And after a quiet week 1, just put together another solid performance on his resume as he, continues to work on that contract extension. And Von Miller, man, like that celebration after he did the sack, he did the like kind of warming up the arm, like almost like, I'm just getting started a little bit. Like I'm just kind of getting warm, feeling myself. So, I mean, he set up Austin Jackson plenty of times. His get off the snap is just second to none. He uses that bend, that speed. And Austin Jackson sometimes didn't even get a hand on him late in the 4th quarter. Von Miller used a great get off to get around Jackson and forced a quick Skylar Thompson throw, which was over the intended, I think it was a tight end's head, and forced the punt from the Dolphins offense. So I think Von Miller has been all over the place. His speed, he used a great spin move earlier in the game as well. So he's using a repertoire of different moves. And I'm pretty confident in saying, man, like just the aura. We talk about aura all the time, and his aura coming off that sack and just the feeling and everything. When
I think you talk about aura all the time. I don't know if we talk about aura all the time.
Sorry, I talk about aura all the time. And I think just the presence he's giving off to his teammates and his leadership and what he's done. I mean, what a great sign for this Bills defense to get 2 sacks in 2 games from a guy that was supposed to be the finisher, and I think he might end up the finisher as long as he stays healthy throughout this 2024 season.
Elsewhere on the defensive side of the ball, Cole Bishop made his NFL debut on Thursday night. He appeared on the opening kickoff and was a member of Buffalo's coverage team throughout the game. Also appeared on defense late in the game and had a pass breakup in the end zone. Got some people excited. He also recorded a tackle, so he comes out of this game faring pretty well, and good to see Bishop out there in his first action. And a few more updates in terms of the inactives in this one. Javon Solomon inactive once again with that oblique injury. DeJuan Smoot misses his second straight game with a toe injury. Kingsley Jonathan was elevated from the practice squad for this one. You saw Cameron Klein up here last week. Joe Andreessen still has yet to make his debut, along with linebacker Edifon Ulofoshio. Cedric Van Pran Granger served as the backup center this week. Will Clapp was elevated last week, but it was Van Pran Granger on the 53, or the active roster, I should say, for the game here tonight. Cornerback Taron Johnson was not placed on injured reserve before Thursday's 6:45 p.m. deadline, meaning the Bills likely expect him back before Week 6. That's big news, AJ, and obviously the Bills hoping that they can get just as lucky with Terrell Bernard, but I think you catch a break there. A lot of people expecting Johnson to go on the IR before tonight's game, but now seeing that he still has a chance to return before Week 6, I think that's going to be a boon for this team if they are able to get him back in short order.
Yeah, nothing too crazy on the injury front. You pretty much covered it all. But, again, good to see that Taron Johnson was not placed on IR. Discussed it a little bit in our pregame show before tonight's game, and just went over that a little bit and the importance of what he means to this defense, and how it didn't change my mind. I still had the Bills winning this game, but definitely a bit closer than I thought it would be, a bit closer than I anticipated. But again, the Bills came away with a very convincing victory in this one. So yeah, nothing too crazy on the injury front. Josh Allen's hand looked pretty good throughout the game. Nothing too much besides you said it already. The rushing ability from Allen, you think maybe could have been questioned a little bit there. He didn't really do too much with his legs in this one, but overall, nothing too bad on the injury front. You just got to hope Terrell Bernard can get back, man, because he's the captain of this defense. He's a leader. He's coming off a great season in 2023 and was off to a great start in 2024. I love the team in tackles in week 1. So you really need that guy out there, especially in November, December, if you want to make a run and a statement.
And finally, on special teams, Tyler Bass misses I believe, 45-yard field goal here tonight. Really one of the few blemishes, I should say, here in this Bills victory. And in one sense, I don't think it's too concerning. Maybe a good thing for Tyler Bass to get a miss out of the way when it doesn't matter. But certainly continues to linger due those concerns with Tyler Bass. And missing from 45, certainly not ideal in a game like this.
Yeah, it was I'm like, when he missed the kick, and he missed it pretty badly. It was a pretty bad miss. I kind of thought the same thing. Like, well, at least they're up 31-10, and I know there's still going to be some people, because I think we had the conversation the other day about how I feel some people just will do anything to kind of criticize Tyler Bass at this point because of that missed kick against Kansas City last year. And I'm not too concerned with it. Like you said, get the miss out of the way when it doesn't really matter too much. It's still a miss. It'll still go against his field goal misses, his makes throughout the year, his make percentage throughout the season. But it was definitely a bad miss, but not too concerned until he does it, when it really truly matters. And I just felt like it was a bad operation overall on that kick, and he missed it pretty badly. So hopefully that does not occur again moving forward.
All right, I think that's just going to about do it here from Hard Rock Stadium. AJ, you got anything left to add? Anything we left out here on the podcast? A lot happened early in that game, a slow second half after the Bills pulled away with things. But I think we pretty much covered everything that was on my list here. One thing that did strike me about this game, there were a lot more empty seats than I anticipated. A big, high-profile Thursday night game, divisional matchup, and there were a lot of pockets of empty seats here tonight. And the Bills Mafia took over once again with Dolphins fans leaving. I think early in the fourth quarter is when they started heading for the exits, and then at the end of the game, that left Bills Mafia to really take over the lower bowl, as we've seen here in Miami time and again. But is there anything else we missed on tonight's pod from tonight's game here in Miami?
Yeah, I think the Bills just made an overall statement to the NFL tonight. I think that's another big part of this. They went into it to an offseason where many people, especially nationally, were doubting this team. You go into a game, all four except Ryan Fitzpatrick picked the Dolphins on the Amazon Prime broadcast before the game. That? Yeah, so there were a lot of doubters for this Bills team, a lot of questions with all the offseason subtractions, and they come around in week 2, pick up a huge win, and now you're looking at Jacksonville at home, who struggled with Miami in week 1. Is hopefully you can get some revenge on them for years past with the struggles against them, and also you can move to 3-0 here with a big game against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football ahead of you. So the Bills are looking good. They made a statement. They're still Super Bowl contenders. They proved to everyone, throw out the receipts from all the people, the naysayers in the offseason talking about this team taking a step back. I think you can say now at this point, 2 games in, 2 dominant victories. Week 1, I guess, was a little testier, but they still battled and found a way to get the win. This Bills team is going nowhere, and they're still a top team in the NFL.
Yeah, Bills taking on Jacksonville next week, Monday night. Bills versus Jacksonville in week 3 as Buffalo looks to improve to 3-0 to start the season. That's going to do it for AJ and myself right here, right now, live Buffalo Football Talk. Another great episode live from Hard Rock Stadium. Before we get out of here, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, AJ, that's going to do it. Thanks for the shout out, Mexico Marty. We did have boots on the ground here tonight. Boots are about to leave the ground as a fly lands on my nose here at Hard Rock Stadium. A great performance from the Bills, 2-0 on the season with the Jacksonville Jaguars upcoming. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.